Dr. Kimberly, Humphrey, Public Health Medical Consultant at SA Health. So heat can be a very significant threat to health, and we know this. And whilst we know particular groups are at special risk from heat-related illness, and that includes older persons, children, and particularly those with chronic medical conditions, it can affect anybody, even people who are young and healthy. So there's a few messages that we would like to convey today. And firstly is knowing the signs of heat-related illness. So when we first start to experience a really hot day, many of you will be familiar, you feel maybe a little unwell, a little sweaty. If you're drinking lots of water and keeping cool, often that's all it will be for you. The next steps are the steps that we really want you to be aware of. So feeling unwell and dizzy, feeling very, very fatigued, vomiting, nauseous, all of those things are signs that heat-related illness for you is becoming more severe. And that is the point that you really need to make sure that you move to a cool space and increase your fluid intake. At the very extreme of that spectrum, we have heat stroke, a life-threatening illness. And what we see in that instance is we see people who are often confused and the body stops sweating, so it loses its ability to cool down. If you are with somebody who is experiencing that, that is a medical emergency and you need to call 000 immediately. Luckily, there are many things we can do to keep cool and to avoid heat-related illness. So firstly is keeping somewhere where it is nice and cool. So if you have an air-conditioned home, stay inside, drink lots of water, particularly during the hottest part of the day. If you can't do that, and if you can't run your air conditioner, then make sure that you think ahead of time. So think today about where you might go, where it is cool, whether it's a friend's house, family, or whether it's going to a shopping centre or a library. These are really important things to do. Secondly, monitoring the colour of your wee is really important as well. So if it's dark, you need to drink more water. Making sure that you're keeping your water intake up is really critical as well. And the last few points are make sure that you look after your friends and family, particularly those who are in the at-risk groups that we mentioned before. Making sure that they're safe and that you're checking in on them is a really crucial part of making sure that they don't experience heat-related illness. And the final thing is it's a great idea to check in with your GP or whoever you see most of the time for your medical care to get a plan around what your particular risk is with your medical conditions and your particular medications as well. Thank you.
There's a lot of very key messages that have come out of that on how to manage personal risk in the heat. What I wanted to talk about more directly is that there are more people killed by heat across the nation than all of the other natural hazards put together. So we need to make this really, really clear, and building on what Dr. Humphrey mentioned, the illness and the death rate from heat is substantial, and it is significantly more than all of the rest of our natural hazards put together. Heat kills people. We're imploring the South Australian community, regardless of where you are, to monitor the heat warnings that are publicised through the South Australian State Emergency Service and through the Bureau, and to take action based on your location. The heat-related warnings are based on your local area. The heat warning for Roxby Downs will be based on that area. The heat warning for Adelaide will be based on the local area around Adelaide, on how that day compares to historical events. I ask you to please plan for your personal, your work, your sporting and your recreational plans around these heat warnings. We provide them so as you can take some personal action to make sure you're safe and your family is safe. Furthermore, when heat does arrive through the South Australian community, we know there has been challenges in the past with problems with infrastructure. South Australian Power Networks do absolutely everything they can to do to keep the power on. That's within everyone's best interest. But as has been discussed, whether it be through bushfire or through heat, sometimes we have power outages. And to reinforce those messages of what is your family going to do if you lose power, if you lose communication, or you're unable to get to your house. The concepts of using a battery-powered radio or getting involved in getting through your phone onto one of the key emergency service websites or the Alert SA website to pick up on that critical information will help keep your family safe. The State Emergency Service last summer, December through to February, on what was a relatively benign year, has been mentioned, still responded to over 2,300 tree down events through trees falling through heat or severe weather, and severe weather events. Now, these events involved trees coming down on cars, on people, through houses, blocking access to people's driveways and homes, and generally causing significant disruption. We had houses with roofs removed, pergolas removed, and what tends to happen after the large heatwave effects is we tend to have storms and problems straight afterwards. So please think very broadly about how you're going to manage your risk this summer. The heat causes significant issues to personal safety, significant challenges to how you may or may not be able to interact normally with your family, get home, get to work, and communicate. And we ask you to please monitor the warning messages that are coming from the emergency services, whether it be the heatwave warnings that we're so critically asking you to look at, whether it be the bushfire warnings. Keep your family fully engaged, have the plans for all hazard types, and make sure that you keep our South Australian community safe.
Chris Kent, duty forecaster at the Bureau of Meteorology. So currently we have a low intensity heatwave forecast for much of the state for the remainder of the week. This is also increasing to a severe threshold, heatwave in the west. This isn't the first heatwave of the season, and it's not going to be the last either. We are forecasting a warmer than average summer ahead. Both maximums and minimum temperatures are forecast to be above average, and this is likely to continue throughout the summer period. Compared with last season, we are expecting, last season we had a reasonably mild summer. However, the forecast is expected to be warmer than normal. With this increase in heat, we are expecting this does lead to increased risk of severe heat waves for the summer ahead. Throughout the summer, we are advising people to stay alert with the current forecasts and warnings, as well as staying up to date with through our website and our mobile app with all the latest information, and listen to emergency services for all the latest advice. So thank you.
Hi everyone, Cecilia, Schutz, SA Power Networks. Thank you to the SES for having us here today. It certainly takes a collective effort to protect the community from the risks associated with the summer season. SA Power Networks is committed to keeping communities safe by preparing the electricity network for the summer season. We are preparing all year round for the impact of heat waves and bushfires. While we do all that we can to prepare, bushfires can mean power outages, either caused by the prevailing conditions or, on occasion, by our decision to disconnect power if we believe it will protect lives and property. Our key messages to the community today are: if you do live or work in a high bushfire risk area, please make sure that your bushfire plan includes preparations for power outages. Will your garage door open? Will your water pump work? Have you charged critical devices? If you see any downed power lines, they are extremely dangerous. Please maintain 10 metres distance from those downed power lines and report them immediately to 13 13 66. And please sign up on our website for free SMS updates. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Ray Jackson, I'm the State Duty Commander for the Country Fire Service. As we've heard earlier, we're looking at a drier year than last year, and with that we're asking people to stay informed. What we really need people to do this year is make sure that they know every day what their fire danger rating is going to be, and more importantly what their actions are going to be on those days. They need to stay informed using multiple platforms, whether that be the CFS website, whether it be listening to the Alert SA app. We need to make sure that people understand that. The second thing we're needing people to do is make sure that they've got a bushfire plan. You need a bushfire plan that will tell you what to do on those days when you have the triggers for the fire danger ratings. You need to make sure you know that what you are going to do is going to be the safest thing for you and everyone that lives in the house. It's really important that every member of that household understands the bushfire plan and understands the actions they need to take on that day. We need people to prepare their property. We need to make sure that you've removed all that fire material around the house that could be set alight from spark and embers. That'll increase the safety of the home, but also the occupants who may get caught home at the last minute and not be able to do anything. We'd also remind people during the fire season not to undertake risky activities. So if it is going to be a bad day, please don't do things like using angle grinders, mowing, and some of those other high-risk activities. And you can go to the CFS website on cfs.sa.gov.au to get more information on what you can and can't do during the fire danger season. Thank you.